Yes, so I figured out why. It's written that the dead in Christ should be raised first. This is the most difficult task. You don't want this task. No one does. Trust me. I've gone through it. Any people that have ever it was like, oh, I'm Jesus or whatever. I'm not Jesus. I'm James. I'm a lion, but I triggered the lamb or whatever. Here's my point. You get rejected by every single human being. I think somewhere written in the New Testament it says that he has to be rejected by everyone first. He has to suffer many things. Check. I think the reason that you're rejected by everyone, obviously, is because people think like they want to naturally like have a grasp on reality in this situation, when in fact this message is very difficult for people to understand. The idea that God is monitoring every thought you're having, and he responds to any thoughts that he doesn't like or actions that he doesn't like in real time in your body, which is a temple. But my point is that you have to be rejected by everyone, because when you come at the equation, you can't have an affiliation with any party. You have to be rejected by everyone so people know that this guy, no one is on his side. Every single human being has rejected someone or has rejected him. So when, Jesus or even Moses were like, had to prophesy or prophesy my coming, they would be looking at it from their perspective and be like, yeah, of course. Like, if this guy's coming out of nowhere saying, hey, all your thoughts are monitored, all your disease and illness or whatever is a response to your thoughts and behavior, it's a shitty fucking pitch. Plus, the world is going to end, or is ending, which we see with the UN climate report. But he's got to suffer all of that and be rejected by everyone, so it's clean, knowing that when God's kingdom comes into place, that this guy has no affiliations and can prove that he has no affiliations with anyone. That's why he has to suffer many things and then be rejected by his generation. You're like, if he came in and he was like, well, I'm partnered with the Jews, or I'm partnered with the Muslims, or I'm partnered with the Christians, then the Jews, Muslims, or Christians are going to be like, you'd go fuck yourself, because no one would trust him. But if he's rejected by every single fucking human being, including his family, friends, colleagues, strangers, the elect, i.e. the clergy, then you have something. And you need a guy who's fucking focused enough to be rejected by every single fucking human being and keep pushing forward. So that's why it's a no-brainer. So 2,000 years from now, when it's like, well, or 1,000 years from now when, there's the third coming of this concept, I can tell that person right now, oh, you're going to be rejected by everyone, because when you finally make it on the scene, everyone will know wholeheartedly that you're not biased. You haven't been in cahoots with, with people. So it's simple for me to say that now, but going through it, it's tough. This is easily the most difficult task I've ever attempted in my life. The book of Revelation is a how-to guide. And you've got to lose every single fucking thing. Not just the tangible stuff. Not just the money. Not just the status. Not just the fucking car. Not just all that. But you have to lose everything. And be rejected by everyone. So you come in clean. I lost everything for this. And I don't say that in a way that's like, oh, feel bad for me. When you understand the true system, you're like, Man, I wish I lost everything. I'm just the guy who's first to the gate. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm good. You can't top this in today's world. But in, the system which I used to be or I can be an expert in whenever I want to, and you may or may not be an expert in, it looks bad. But this explains why Jesus said, and Moses confirmed, look, you want to just lose everything and just rely on God. And they're right. Couple reasons there. One, you want to be able to prove that you lost everything. Two, you want to have fewer variables for him to punish you with. So for me, it's just like the physical stuff. Like if I fuck up, he gives me pain in my side. I'm like, wait, what's that? Which commandment did I break? Interpreted to 2018. And that's it. Simple. All I wanted to do was get my girl back. And when I say my girl, she's not my girl. She's a girl. She's the girl. She's like the fucking archetype of women. And I was never good enough for her. I knew that from the very beginning. Every time I always felt like a fraud with her. Even most recently in 2017, I was like, I'm a fraud. Not this time. And I know that we would never work unless the entire world was healed. So there's my motivation. That's the only thing. That and the fact that I got anointed, i.e. dropped to my fucking knees by God, who said, you know what, you want to prove my existence? Here I am. It's time to fucking rock and roll. And then kick my knees out. I mean, not literally, but, the force when God is like, here's my breath. Oh, God, he's right there. He's right there. Okay, I get it, man. You're right there. Anyway. So as folks, unknowing to them, as they operate perfectly in a system that's broken, they'll find that out, that we only have a matter of months until the entire system collapses, as they become further and further expert in that system. And ultimately, the biggest experts are billionaires, which wind up just giving their money away, which is, it proves that what we seek as people without, when you have, it's irrelevant because it doesn't solve. It's a foolish system. But anyway, as we see that more and more, and we continue to cook and cook like an oven, you can't stop the heat, eventually people will say, well, what do we do now? And there was this guy who fell in love with this girl who happened to be Jewish. And he said, no matter what is thrown at me, because I know that I'm not good enough for her, I'm not good enough for you, I will try to change the world. And in my mind now, it's locked. I have changed the world. And it's me with this idea locked in my mind in a safe environment, i.e., living with my mother, who has no idea that I think these thoughts, but I'm protected, and that's why it's written in the book of Revelation. Now, did God solve for the deaths of 1/3 of humanity, or it's the idea of 1/3 of humanity dying, just the idea that 1/3 of humanity focuses on the ideas of the flesh, and those get removed from the equation when I finally come out of the gate and have an audience? I don't know that. I can't tell you one way or the other. What I can tell you is this. Whatever you're thinking right now, it's a forward concept, but it's just reiterating what was known in 1300 BC and again in 0 AD or 33 AD and then again in 2019. It's that he's monitoring every thought that you have. And the reason that you get sick, as difficult as this for any human being to digest, the reason that we get sick is because of our own thoughts and actions. But namely thoughts. And that's the one thing that doctors, physicians, or whatever don't take into account. What was the patient thinking when they got diabetes? What was the patient thinking when they contracted leukemia? And if you go back all the way to when they first felt any sort of discomfort, it was based off something they thought. And sometimes something they did. And instead of correcting it, because when we get pain in our body, we don't think about what was the thought we just had. We go right to the pain. We go right to the flesh. When in fact, it was our thinking the entire time. So, there you have it. So on this pretty day, it's kind of turned out to be warm, despite the fact that it's January 23rd, 2017. Despite that, it's a little warm today. But in a couple months, as no one changes, look at these cars here, no one changes any behavior, the one constant factor is carbon parts per million keep increasing. Simple. And they're not going to stop because the entire system is based around, well, I got to do this, X, Y, Z, go to college, get the car, get the girl, buy the shit, get the house, all that stuff, which ultimately 50% of those relationships or whatever fail. Most people don't find themselves until after they revise what they were thinking and is seeking out, because the entire system is based off media, which influences how you think, which conflicts with the ultimate plan from God, Hashem, Allah, like whoever you want to call him. And he had the full plan all along. All we have to do is say, you know what, we fucked this up, that up. Which I've done as the thief in the night, i.e. the guy who stole money. Behold, I come as a thief. Realized, oh wait, when I stole that money, even though I got away with it from a fucking legal standpoint, I still suffered because there is a God. And when I thought we're all alone in the universe, i.e. there's no aliens, there's no fucking, mummies, demons, shit like that, it was all in our head. We know all the players in the entire game. We know every player in this game on this arc or whatever that's the only source of living life forms or whatever universally. We know everyone involved that's above the sea level or whatever. We know everyone. So all we have to do is broker a global peace deal and then start working on things that make all of us happy. And as the guy who was rejected by every single human being who comes in and says, look, I just wanted my girl back, man. That's it. That's all I wanted. It's like, I can trust that guy. Because he has no fucking political affiliation. He has no, he's not tied to anyone. And that's why Jesus knew that this dude who showed up in 2019 would have to suffer many things. Because he'd have to come in clean. Simple. And yes, climate change exists, but it was directed by God for us to say, we have no more solutions and the clock is ticking, but not to say in a religious sort of terrorist way, which the guys from Reddit taught me this, the atheist group, which I love you guys. It's not saying, hey, look, fucking this is it. I'm the guy. Fuck you. No, wrong. It's to say, look, he exists. We're all alone. Any idea of like having aliens and shit like that is false because you can't prove to me that there are aliens out there. That an atheist thinking that a religious or sort of, spiritual person is foolish, the tables are now turned, and the atheist becomes foolish who believes in sort of aliens and shit like that, because you believe in something that can't be proven, that will never be proven because they don't exist. Whereas now, I'm saying, and the book of Revelation says, and data says, there's data here. You can show that when you break one of these 10 commandments or rules for this algorithm, that you feel pain. So you can ignore that as long as you want, but the clock ticks and climate change continues. See? So now, the guy who believes in extraterrestrial life forms or whatever, now he's foolish. So, that's what I got on this fine Wednesday afternoon. And all I know is, as a fucking shitbag to that woman, all I want to do is have another dinner with that girl. So there you have it. The Messiah is just a guy who said, I don't care at any cost. I will lose everything, and I'll actually solve to show something very uncomfortable, which is every single pain that we feel on this earth, it's a response to our own actions, as fucking tough of a pill as that is to swallow. That's the state of the affairs on this world. And any little baby who has leukemia, you don't look at the baby because obviously they don't deserve it, but it's the fucking parents as a wake-up call to say, hey, as I'm playing bridge as a grandma, oh, when someone asks me, how's little Benjamin doing? Well, Benjamin's doing shitty, he's got leukemia. Why? But it's uncomfortable for her to say that because it's not about the kid, it's about the fucking grandma or the grandpa or whoever is in the direct line up to 3 or 4 generations, as it states in the 10 Commandments of Exodus 20. It's so simple. It's a fucking algorithm, people. So, there we go. I think I covered every base. I'm going to keep working on the book. Sorry about everyone from Reddit. I'm glad I got rejected by everyone. That's why I'm the guy. This guy. So bad. See you around.